How you doing, guys? Hope everybody enjoyed their holidays. Have you ever been wanted to vent because you were going through some issues? And as you're starting to vent on somebody, you realize that no matter what you say, they're just not getting it. I mean, they could be very intelligent people, but they don't know where you're coming from, basically because they had never been through it. I know they may go along with the conversation for a while, but you realize you're getting nothing as far as feedback, and you're getting this empty look, and they really don't know what to say. This is kind of primarily where I was at when I was fading as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, there basically was nobody to turn to. You couldn't really discuss what your issues with another Jehovah's Witness, particularly where I was fading. I was not happy in the organization, and you can't tell another JW that. What will you get? You're spiritually weak. The same token, the people I knew on the outside knew nothing about a high control group. So you really couldn't vent on them because they had listened to you. But basically what you would get was, just walk away from it. Which is true, but they're not to the understanding that they come looking for you. Then they give you, well, call the police, trespass them or something like that. See, they're not understanding it because they've never actually been involved. I didn't get any comfort until I had accidentally come across the XJWs on YouTube. And it was kind of, finally, other people that are going through the same thing I'm going through. And as I continually watched over the next year or so, I started hearing worse things. I started hearing things that I didn't know about the organization, which in a lot of ways made it very easy for me to leave. I don't talk about it too much to the general public right now because for the most part, your average Joe does not understand. All they know about JWs is they go door to door with Bibles. They don't understand the inner workings. And you say watchtower, and most people don't even know what that is, the average person. Now, there's a lot of people on the outside that know I have a YouTube channel, which I really, would you get out of here? Sorry guys, we have a major rat problem here, and they just scurry around. They don't even care that I'm here. Anyways, where was I? I don't discuss too much about the JWs with the general population anymore because for the most part, most people don't grasp it. Now, the few people that know about my YouTube channel, sometimes they'll inquire about it. But I'm being very select who I discuss it with. I had one idiot last summer, I believe it was. This past year was a blur to me, but I believe it was last summer. He came over, he saw me sitting outside, and he started inquiring about it. Then he made this ignorant comment. He says, well, don't you and the other ex-JWs think if you just left the JWs alone, that they would just go away? I kind of looked at him like this. I said, dude, it's not about them going away. And as I started discussing what it was that I did, he just had this empty look on his face. He was a very ignorant person anyways, and I found it more often than not, when I was conversing with him, I would get pissed off. So I say very little to him anymore because he just wasn't getting it. He's under the impression all I do on YouTube is bash JWs, which is not the case. I have a co-worker. He'll be going away for a few days. But come to find out, he's involved with this new girl. Now, he's unsure if she's a JW or her family is. And I'm like, oh my God. I didn't know what to tell him because he's head over heels with this girl right now. So I told him what to look out for. Now, he's a very nicest guy in the world, but he's very stubborn. I told him what to look out for. If she tries to lure you, and by the way, this will be a subject for a video in the future. If she tries to lure you to a Kingdom Hall, simply don't go. You don't want to get hooked in. And he's like, it ain't going to happen to me. And I'm thinking, dude, it happens to anybody. And I pretty much, for the time being, have left it alone. Now, let's face it, anybody who's been one of Jehovah's Witnesses has had some damage done, especially those who are involved in child sex abuse. Now, it varies. Now, the damage I had done to me was minimal. I got away pretty lucky, where most have not. But not to say that there are times that you don't need to vent. You don't need to get your issues off your chest, because the thing was, there was a couple of years there that I was still heated over it, what I had gone through. And yet, very few people that you could discuss it with, which is why it was a good thing that I came across the XJWs on social media, because the general population just doesn't get it. Now, many Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, felt the need to get therapy, which is not a bad idea. However, you want to realize that not all therapists are created equal. Keep in mind that when you go into a therapist, they are still giving you their opinion. And a lot of times, they may not suit you because they have no empathy for what you're going through. Reason being, they hadn't gone through it. Now, I spoke to one ex-JW who's having issues with her therapist. She told me that when she had mentioned that Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult, the therapist came out and said, no, it is not a cult. First of all, the therapist has not been there. This girl had been there. We've all been there. The thing is, you got to remember that most people on the outside, all they know about Jehovah's Witnesses is that they go door to door with the Bible. That's all they know. And the thing is, when you mention cult to some people, they're thinking Heaven's Gate or the People's Temple or something hardcore like that. They're not thinking of the more passive-aggressive, sneaky tactics like Jehovah's Witnesses and a few others. But yes, Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses is a cult, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You had been there, the therapist had not. If you're getting no assistance from your therapist, it may be a good idea just to find another one. That therapist may not be suited for you. And then again, you got to remember, what is a therapist there to do? They're there to listen. And if they have no empathy for what you're going through, they're not doing you any good. And a lot of times, all it takes is to speak to somebody that has gone through what you've gone through. So speaking to another ex-Jehovah's Witness could pretty much do you very well the same. I found that to be the case with me. I'm not telling you not to go see a therapist, but if they're doubting what you're saying, if they're combating what you're saying, it may be a good idea to find another one. That pretty much is all I have for you guys. I will be back soon. I've had a crazy schedule. That's why I haven't been around the last few weeks. But you guys have a good day. I'll be talking to you soon.